Welcome to Audible Sportscast, your home for all things sports. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's been a while. It's been a very long time.
I'm excited for football season. How about you?
Oh, yeah. I'm very excited for football season. It's been a while. Maybe catch everybody up. You know, Brett, you got a new job. You got a lot that's been going on. We both had a long summer, but the number one thing, we've been missing football. And
Correct.
Football is right around the corner. I don't know about you, but let's just go right into it. Welcome to Audible Sportscast. Let's talk about the season. Of course, season starts September 11th. It's going to be a long season. It's
such a bad date to start.
Yeah, but you can't win them all. It's a second time there's going to be 17 regular season games. You know, second time.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I feel like there wasn't, one of the things that people were worried about was injuries. And while there maybe was a little bit of injuries, well, a lot of bit of injuries early, it didn't seem like during the playoffs or kind of late in the season there was a vast amount that people kind of expected. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You know, it's the second year. Maybe this is when we'll start seeing maybe a little bit of fatigue. Who knows? I'm not a doctor. Yeah. I don't want to be a doctor.
I mean, it's hard to say. You could blame injuries on anything these days. So
you really can.
So you want to jump right into it, the MVP?
Hey.
I say we go right for it.
All right, well, before we get too much into it, today we're just going to talk about our season predictions of kind of what we think is going to happen, whether that be Super Bowl, divisions, Hey, we'll see what happens. So you said MVP. Let's jump right into it with the MVP.
All right, so my prediction is Tom Brady, last dance, last hurrah, MVP. That's my guess. I think he comes out swinging this year.
I definitely can see it. I mean, they got the weapons. The offensive line right now is kind of a question mark, but Tom Brady's known for getting it out quick.
How many years in New England has the offensive line when he was there been questionable? I'm not worried about that. And hold on, do we get a resurgence? Do we see old Julio Jones show up with Tom Brady this year? That's
maybe,
the question.
But he doesn't even have to. He can be a quarter of what he used to be. Let's be honest. Like with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You got his Tom Brady's.
Yeah, the workload's not going to be on him like it always has his whole career. So
that's true, and it's a little different from last year because everyone had kind of expected with Julio in Tennessee that the workload will be minimum because of how much they run, but he was still getting a lot of reps. I feel like it, but then again, he was only
that's Ryan Tannehill versus Tom
games.
Brady though. So
that's true.
And a different offense.
I'm sure Julio will be eating avocado ice cream all season.
Maybe.
Thanks to Tom Brady. But, I mean, I could see Tom Brady winning it, but I kind of went in a direction where who's hot right now? You look at kind of what teams did splash this offseason, and the Buffalo Bills are one of those teams a lot of people are really high on, and normally MVP, for the most part, goes to a quarterback on the best team with really good stats. And Justin Fields, or not, oh my God.
You mean Josh
Justin
Allen.
Fields. Josh Allen, sorry. I wish Justin
but you're
Fields.
Saying you're kind of, you can say they're the best team, but I don't know if they're the best team on paper.
I mean,
it's debatable. But yes, I see
debatable,
Josh.
But
I mean, I think you put Josh Allen, Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, but I think that's about it in the MVP race.
I mean, Russell Wilson could get a resurgence, but then again, he never got MVP votes back in Seattle, which is horrible.
I don't see it, but I agree. Josh Allen's a good pick too.
Yeah, I mean, just when you think about a lot of people expect Gabe Davis to step up, fill that wide receiver 2 spot. We know Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox had a good year last year. They expect maybe some stuff out of some of those running backs finally. So we'll see. But a lot of these times we see the team.
Their division just keeps getting harder up there. So
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to say the least. I think you can argue MVP is the most open it's been, but at the same time, no. There's just so many quarterbacks that we think could win it.
Could Jonathan Taylor win MVP this year?
I feel like because we saw Derrick Henry when he got 2,000 yards, he wasn't really in the talks.
I know.
So I feel like you would have to either get really close to breaking both the rushing yard and touchdown mark, and there not to be a quarterback that has the years Aaron Rodgers been. Not only is he high in touchdowns, but almost a zero interception
rate. But if Taylor does a couple hundred more yards than he did last year, I think you got to put him in the discussion.
Maybe, but now with how you got to think who's the most valuable player. How well will Matt Ryan play?
True. It's also the Colts how the Colts record shakes out, because that'll be a direct correlation to MVP.
Exactly, and who knows? Maybe they don't run it as much with Jonathan Taylor. Maybe they'll need to. Probably the receiver. I'd like to see some stuff out of the receivers before I say they don't need to run it too much, but. I mean, we'll see. But we talked about Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he definitely is up there he could be MVP. Derrick Henry, those two guys. If someone else is going to win it, a non-quarterback's going to win it. Both those guys, obviously, could even get the rushing title easily. But it's interesting.
It is. I mean, we could go off to Josh Allen and see who's your pick for the AFC East?
For the AFC?
We'll go AFC East.
East? Well, I just said that the Bills are the best team.
Well, I know. I'm just figured we start there because you said that.
I have the Buffalo Bills winning the AFC
would agree.
East. But it's closer than people might think. I mean, I have the Bills going 14-2 with the Dolphins going not surprisingly, but them going 11-6. Sneaking into the playoffs even.
Over New England?
Yeah, on paper, New England isn't that good, but it's New England. It's still New England.
In your lifetime, how many times could you say that on paper they're not that good, though?
The last 3 years.
Probably your whole lifetime. Just about.
Yeah, but Tom Brady, they've had...
I know, but it's the coaching. We'll see.
It's a tough schedule. There's a lot of games for a lot of teams that are kind of in that mid-level that it could go either way.
Yeah, that's very true.
So they just, in my schedule, they kind of got...
Yeah, I agree. Ooh. I think the Bills, and I was going to say I have the Patriots as a wild card, not the Dolphins, but I see the Dolphins improving.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the amount of things they did this offseason not to improve, if they don't improve at all, Tua's out. Because everything else is almost perfect. I mean, offensive line could still use some work, but the fact they went out and got Teron Armstead, who, if he could play a complete schedule, is a top 5 offensive lineman.
Potentially, yes.
Whenever you have receivers like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill who can just change the vastness of an open field. And, they went out and got, an offensive head coach that we saw last year with San Francisco. They can do some very crazy things and move around, and it'll be fun to see. I'm excited to see what the AFC East
I wonder if he'll do the running back shuffle down there, just like the Niners.
Potentially.
Now, why don't we jump over to the AFC West?
The West, which I have... There's not a single team in the AFC West I have that has a losing record. It is probably one of the most stacked divisions that I've ever seen.
Division,
when you look at
question
talent. But I have the Chiefs narrowly swinging out a division win between them and the Chargers, both literally a half game in between them.
You just said my pick. I picked the Chargers. I just think right now I don't think Mahomes... I think they're going to take a little bit of some time on offense to figure out no Tyreek Hill.
I agree, but there's still Travis Kelce there. They brought some guys who can make plays. I'm interested to see what rookie Sky Moore will do in that system. The thing I'm more questioned about is that defense. People don't really think about how much Tyrann Mathieu was essential for that defense. Now with him gone, going to New Orleans, we'll see. I mean, they did bring in Justin Reed, but I wouldn't compare. I mean, they're both good safeties, but I wouldn't compare them. But it's the problem with the Chargers the last 2 years was they would get inconsistent at times. So now that they brought in all those weapons, let's see how consistent they can be, and maybe from here on out they'll win the division.
I like how neither of us said Oakland, Las Vegas. I'm sorry. Sorry, Raiders fans. I meant Las Vegas.
It doesn't matter. But the Raiders lost a tiebreaker in mine to not make the playoffs. Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos all make the playoffs, but a tiebreaker keeps, at least in mine, the Raiders out. Which, the only reason for that, John Madden was, of course, the Madden cover, and there's always a Madden curse, and someone's got to have the curse, with Madden obviously
very
dead.
True.
So, I think that might be a fact. I love what the Raiders did this offseason. Big splashes, Chandler Jones, Devontae Adams.
Yeah, it could be. It should be interesting, but it's the Raiders, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when you look to their first-year head coach, it'll be fun. I like what also the Broncos. Whenever you bring in a guy like Russell Wilson into a new everything, it'll be interesting to see how he plays in a fresh team, fresh everything. But keeping the ball rolling, let's go down to the AFC South. A lot of question marks on certain teams. Obviously, we know Texans, Jags, not a lot of hope for them. So, in my opinion, it comes down to two different teams. Brett?
I'm going to go Indy.
I agree. I have Indy going 11-6. They had a tough schedule, but I have them being a top
I just think
3 seed.
A lot of people like to crap on Matt Ryan, but he's an upgrade over Carson Wentz. And I think he's going to bring some consistency to that team that they didn't have last year. And I just think the Titans are such a defensive-heavy, run-heavy team that they've abandoned the pass so much, like receiver-wise, talent on the just receiver side of the ball. I don't know. Well, it's a wait and see with them for me.
Not to mention, they went out and drafted a quarterback to who knows what that'll do with Ryan Tannehill. Maybe that'll pump him up and he'll have a career year, or it'll do the complete opposite. I'd like to see how that kind of goes within the year.
It'll be interesting.
But, Harold Landry just, he's out for the year now. He's a big part of that defense. But I see, they're going down. Colts are going up. The Colts didn't do a lot this offseason, but, they went out and got key things. They got another wide receiver.
Well, it's just key. Matt Ryan's a big upgrade over Wentz, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, Matty Ice is going to Matty Ice.
Yep. No.
But, yeah, that's the AFC. We have
AFC North.
A lot of... how could I forget about the AFC North?
I mean, I would
say
off.
Second most talented division.
I think we're just going to have the Bengals run that division this season. I don't have any faith in the Ravens. I think the Ravens will still be...
You don't have any faith in the Ravens?
No. I really don't. I think they'll be a 500 or maybe one game over 500 team. I just think...
I mean...
I'm not sold on Lamar Jackson being a franchise quarterback. I think he's a starting quarterback, but that to me, there's a difference between a starting quarterback and a franchise quarterback.
I mean, whenever you win... I mean, he's an MVP winning quarterback. You don't think that...
I think there was some bias in that one, but that's me.
Maybe, but that the Ravens still played really good at many points of last season, having almost a complete injured roster.
Don't get me wrong. It's between them and the Bengals. I think the Browns are out.
Correct. I mean, I have both the Bengals and the Ravens having the exact same record, but the Bengals kind of having that tiebreaker against them to win the division. But, I mean, Steelers, I feel like that defense will help them win a lot of games, no matter whether it's Kenny Pickett or Mitch. I think Mitch will at least start the season.
I think they're going to bounce from quarterback to quarterback.
But, I mean, they went out and got, George Pickens, the wide receiver out of Georgia, is looking like a monster to go with, Claypool and Deontay Johnson. Not to mention Najee Harris could be a franchise running back, as much as one can be nowadays.
Yeah, I guess with the Steelers, that's another wait-and-see team for me just because of the quarterback situation. And they are transitioning from Big Ben to either Mitch or the young guy, the rookie, and we'll see. And I think it might be time for Tomlin to go, too. So I guess that's why they're one of my wait-and-see teams.
The Browns, I'm not even going to talk about the Browns. I don't want to talk about
it's not worth it.
They're a talented team, but I can't. I just can't do it. But, that pretty much wraps up the AFC. Who do you have as who's going to the Super Bowl from the AFC? Who's going to be the AFC's?
I'll pick Buffalo, and this is my early season pick, preseason, But we'll see. There's a couple other teams, like you said, Kansas City. I could take San Diego.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple teams, but I just got to go Buffalo. I already have called them the best team. I kind of got to stick with that for now. My choice for Super Bowl, at least representative, I'm not going to call winner right now, but they're just right now they're the team.
I'd agree with you, and we said the same thing last year too.
That's true. But moving on to the NFC, let's start with our favorite division, NFC North. Brett,
I hate to.
Who do you have?
I'm actually going to say Minnesota, not the Packers.
I was going back and forth on that. There's, the Vikings are a very talented team.
As much as Rodgers is the best quarterback in the division, that doesn't always mean it doesn't mean anything nowadays,
Not to mention, I feel like a lot of people are expecting a career years out of that receiving core just because of, the head coach comes from the Rams system. It could be interesting.
I just think it. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins I just think Kirk Cousins is gonna have a bounce back year. But
but
I went back and forth. But I just think Rodgers brings too much drama, and he's done it all off season with his recreational use of things and his ponytail. Like I said, he's still the most talented quarterback in the division.
It wouldn't be the first time he's been in the spotlight, and
won't be the last.
Still went up. Nope. So I until I see some actual consistency with Kirk Cousins, I gotta take Green Bay for now. NFC North's a little different, but let's move on to the NFC East. For a long time, people called it the NFC least, but this year they might have two potential playoff teams. I have the Cowboys winning the division.
I do as well.
I love the Eagles this year, but kind of like the Vikings, I want to see some consistency with Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of times where they were in winnable spots, and Jalen Hurts just wasn't playing at a franchise quarterback level. I love him to death. I feel like he could be not only a good starting quarterback in the league, but an amazing fantasy player. For a little bit of fantasy advice I'm going to give you this week.
So what you're saying is the Eagles are one of your wait and see teams.
Yeah, Eagles are definitely kind of my wait and see team, but they're stacked. They had a really good draft. You went and you got AJ Brown. I just see a lot of big things with them, but like I said, wait and see. Commanders,
still Dallas's division.
Yeah, it's definitely still Dallas's division. Commanders, no. Giants, no. But let's move on to some actual good divisions. Surprisingly enough, the NFC South. We're going to move to the NFC South here. I don't care what you think.
Are you really going to call that a good division?
I have it a lot better win percentage than the any NFC team.
Well, obviously it's the Bucks winning that division.
I don't have the Bucks winning the division.
You're crazy if you're picking New Orleans. I'm sorry.
I am
think
very crazy.
The Panthers are going to have a better record than New Orleans. That's I'm calling it now.
It depends. It's like a lot of these teams. It depends on Jameis Winston.
It's more than that.
Is it though?
You've been talking to Chris too much.
Maybe not. But
I don't know. I'm not even with Drew Brees. I was never sold on New Orleans, to be honest. So I'm not going to be sold with Jameis.
I like what they did this offseason. I mean, that team was, down bad with the injury bug last season. So, I mean,
as I want to say Tyrann Mathieu's going to help them, I got a picture with the guy at Disney World, but I don't think he changes anything for that team. He's kind
Michael
of
Thomas coming back, Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry.
But you're assuming that Thomas is actually gonna play.
Even if he doesn't, a receiving core of Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry, and Antonio Callaway is pretty good. Plus Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield. But that's why we're here. He won't be suspended.
Opinions. I'm just not sold in New Orleans.
That's true. I could be completely wrong. You could be completely wrong. None of us will find out until maybe halfway through the season.
All we know is Atlanta's not going to win the division. So
definitely not. I actually have them third in the division, but that's because
over Carolina.
Well, here's the thing. Carolina's a bad second half team. I'd like to see how that goes.
Even if they lose both their running backs, they're better than Atlanta, I think.
But when you also look at the schedule too, Atlanta has a lot of easy games that I kind of gave them over others. They play.
That's true. I mean, they do.
So
because they were so bad last year. That's why.
Yeah. Not to mention, I did kind of have them split a couple games within the division. That it's the NFC South. A lot of times that happens, no matter how the teams are. But I don't know. Maybe that's me thinking a little too much of the Falcons. I mean, who knows how Marcus Mariota will play, and if any time they'll bring in.
I can't even put them on my wait and see list.
I mean, they're not on my wait and see list, but they're not going to win. They're not going to the playoffs or anything like that. But
that's now switching over to the NFC West. I think this is a no-brainer division, but
I wouldn't necessarily call it a no-brainer because there's another wait and see.
Yeah, I know you're going to say the Niners, but I can't. You got to say Rams.
I have the 49ers and Rams being very close, but, it comes down to just, who's going to play well in those division games. And I have the Rams barely missing out on winning the division.
I just don't think the Niners. Trey Lance is going to make so many mental errors, and not on purpose. It's
I agree, and that's
young guy stuff. And Matt Stafford is he's just a veteran presence that no one in that division has besides them.
I mean, I completely agree. I think the Rams. Matt Stafford's one of the guys I would say who's definitely in the top 3 to win MVP. I think. They went and got.
I'd like to see him win MVP before he retires, but
definitely. But I just, it's hard when you are picking these based off just the schedule because you kind of don't look necessarily at the team.
I take it we both have written the Cardinals and Seattle pretty much.
I have the Seahawks going 0-17.
I give them at least one win.
I mean, I think they play both New York teams, or at least the Giants and maybe the Falcons. I could have given them wins potentially with them, but.
So what you're saying is the end of the Pete Carroll era? Maybe. I wasn't a fan of their draft. I wasn't a fan of anything they really did. Yes, they have some offensive Drew
weapons.
Lock you trust? None of that?
Well, Drew Lock isn't even starting the season.
I know.
So,
yeah, Seattle fans are in for a rude awakening.
Can you name 2 people on that defense?
Diggs.
Exactly.
And no, I cannot. I mean, it's Quadre. He made he was a top 100 player for them, in the NFL thing. But yeah, that's true. We used to be able to name players all over that team. Obviously,
yeah, the Legion of Bloom, or not Bloom, but Legion of Boom. You can name the entire
yeah.
defense.
Now it's
back
the
in those
Legion
days.
of Bloom. It's a bunch of flowers.
But yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I
Griffin.
think the card.
No, he's on the Jacksonville. Never mind. See, already screwing it up.
Exactly. I mean, when you're in a division with as much offensive talent as they have, you need some form of defense. I know it's rebuilding and whatever, but like I said, I wasn't a fan of their draft. Yes, they did. There's a couple of Seahawks fans are kind of ecstatic about their offensive lineman picks, but
But that's a long time coming.
You're going to need more than an offensive line.
Yep.
In a rebuilding first draft. But hey, we'll see. This right now is a good time to not be any good and not trying to rebuild that quickly if you're the Seahawks. I mean, let the 49ers, the 49ers have, this, I'd say 2-year span left, 3-year span maybe before then again,
before they got to pay some
the
guys big
contracts
money
and everything.
Yeah.
Who knows? The 49ers, it depends a lot on Trey Lance.
You never know, because look at how the Rams are finagling it.
That's true.
I mean, I couldn't tell you how they do it, to be honest, but
we'll see. Let them tank. Let them get, let them build up their offensive line. They have the weapons. DK Metcalf's going to be there for a little while. Let them get let them get CJ Stroud if that's who they want at Ohio State next year, which Ohio State, very good team this year. They play Notre Dame this weekend, or depending when this comes out. But yeah, Cardinals. I haven't really talked about the Cardinals. I think just
too much stuff going on down there with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, very stagnant. A lot of stuff you don't want kind of coming out. I mean, it's kind of like Green Bay, but with Green Bay, at least there's consistently winning.
The problem is down there it's not just Kyler Murray. When you have a coach who coached him in college, I think there's a lot of stuff that he lets Kyler Murray get away with.
If they don't do anything really this year, that we could see. I mean, I guess they just re-sign even Cliff to a new contract,
I don't
so he's
think
kind of
they
stuck
do.
there. But it's already done.
No, but that doesn't mean anything. I just don't think he stays around more than 2 more years.
I don't know. It's tough.
So who's your winner out of the NFC then?
Even though I don't have them winning their division, I do have the Rams winning the NFC, and not only winning the NFC. Just kidding. The Bills are winning the Super Bowl for me.
I'm going Tampa, and I'm just gonna go along with my Tom Brady last dance. I think I'm going Tampa to win it.
It's hard. It was hard for me not to say that, but it's just.
I mean, you could call it. I just want to. I want to see it, but
I'd love to see him finally retire. I kind of wish he did, just because I wanted him gone.
So
but at the same time, you have to respect.
Focus on other players.
Exactly. But at the same time, you have to respect that level of greatness. For him to be in there that long, that level of success, he might not be the best athlete of all time, but the winnings show themselves enough. He's won it away from Bill Belichick, which a lot of people thought, it was him being the mastermind. Now he's won it without him. Yeah, with yours, he maybe wins 2. But we'll see.
It's interesting, yeah.
I'm so ready for this year. It's been such a long off season. It's been nice to see, watch a little bit of other sports, basketball. Hey, congrats to Golden State, by the way. Baseball, that's kind of in full swing, pun intended. So I'm ready for football to start. It's going to be such a fun year.
It's exciting. It'll be fun.
I think I said it last year too. But there's so many teams I think have a really good chance that even we're not talking about. I mean, who expected the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl last year?
Not many people.
Nobody, except Bengals fans, maybe. So I mean, there's a lot of teams. I mean, we didn't really say anything about the Lions. If Jared Goff,
I mean, they're going to be
anything
improved.
That could be a decent team.
They're going to be improved.
So there's a couple teams here that. Just watch an eye on. I mean, Panthers maybe. If Baker comes out being actually what he showed signs of before he was hurt. Plus, and speaking of injuries with the Panthers, Christian McCaffrey, if you keep those two healthy playing at a high level, that's a scary team.
Maybe.
But we'll see. I'm so ready for the season. I'm just, I'm so ready.
Me too.
Our Bears might not win a lot of games.
I think we're going to win more than you think, but that could be the Bears fan.
I think we're going to be better than the media. We'll do better than the media is giving them.
Okay, real quick on that note, how many games? I'd say 6.
I had them 6-11, but I had the line 7-10. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm ready. It's time for some football. Let's bring it on. I'm excited to see how Amazon Prime does with their Thursday night footballs. It'll be interesting to see how my horrible Wi-Fi tries to watch some games. But that's all we got for you.
Yeah, we'll have a fun season ahead of us. I can't wait to be doing
more of these. We're going to be full swing, back to what it used to be.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Let's go out there, watch some football. College, high school, NFL, Canadian. I don't know. I don't even think that's going on yet. There's girls leagues. I saw like some Chicago team I think just won a championship. Just go watch some football. I'll see you later.
Later, guys.
Thanks for listening to Audible Sportscast, your home for all things sports.